Mr. Speaker, it appears that once more the current NDP government is borrowing from the UCP playbook. This time they have decided that it would be a great idea if renewable projects were required to make the land whole again. And now, as of September 14th this year, there will be reclamation directives that need to be followed. Minister, why is there still no equivalent of the oil and gas industry-funded Orphan Well Fund included in the directive, despite landowners and property right advocates repeatedly asking for one?
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're very proud of the projects and legislation we have brought forward as part of our renewable plan to replace 30% of our renewable electricity by 2030, our 30 by 30 plan. And when we brought forward that legislation, Mr. Speaker, we also brought in tools for landowners to negotiate with the companies who wish to be proponents of the projects, and there's a number of tools available to landowners. It is not subject to the Surface Rights Board as is oil and gas, but there's a lot of help.
Thank you, Honourable Member. First supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given that this government provided lucrative incentives for renewable companies to set up and operate in Alberta, Minister, why has it taken 3 years before you have finally acknowledged landowners and the opposition's concerns before you issued these new directives?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, we do a lot with landowners, both in my ministry and in my colleagues' Ministry of Environment and Parks. And first and foremost, we look at, when we talk about oil and gas, we have a certain set of rules. When we talk about environment parks, there's another set of rules. A number of the rules are administered by the AER on both our behalfs, but there are other ones that fall outside of that. But again, there is assistance for landowners, should it be through the Farmers Advocate or through the workbooks and tools that we have provided for renewable projects.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given that this government had continued to make things harder for Alberta's farmers and ranchers, and given that I'm sure that the Minister of Agriculture agrees at the seriousness of this issue, Minister, in this directive's best practice guideline, why is it that Alberta Club Route Management Plan is the guideline that only should be adhered to when the possibility exists that contamination could occur?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, we've listened to a number of folks in all sectors, including the agriculture sector, and when we did our climate leadership plan and the carbon levy, we've excluded farm fuel as an example of one of the things that helps. We've also provided regulation and legislations to help farms, for example, get solar panels, to work on irrigation and other energy-efficient projects, and we've invested $225 million on innovation projects just in the ag sector alone to support research, commercialization and investment. And we continue to listen to our farmers as we do.
Honourable Minister.